You ever notice that sometimes? It happens. It does happen. But then, of course, we can learn the art of presenting Krishna consciousness in a non-confrontational way, even in direct Sankirtan, while approaching people. We'll get to that in a minute, and we'll speak about that too today. But the first part is to learn how to distribute books and to preach. Sometimes it's good that you preach while not preaching. It sounds like a conundrum, like a contradiction, but actually, as you have seen, like in your job, you preach by not preaching, by just being a nice person, and people get to like you so much that they say, man, you're different. Why are you so different? You know? Can you tell me? And people just become curious. They just want to know, what is it that makes you tick? Like yesterday, I had this young couple. One guy was from France, and a black guy, and the girl was from Kazakhstan. So it was a weird mixture, but they were both there, and she knew the Bhagavad Gita. They both read books and gave a donation. And at the end, she asked, well, why is it that you do what you do? You know, they come to this point where they're like, okay, what is it that makes you tick? And I said, look, it's like this. Everybody is looking for love in this world. We all want to be loved, and we all want to show our love, our appreciation. Love originally comes from Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality Godhead, because everything originates from Him. So love also originates from Him. So if we learn the art of receiving Krishna's love, that original, powerful, pure love, and sharing it with everybody, that's the perfection of life. So that's what we're trying to do here. And they were, okay, I buy that. That's good. That's good. Like that. So, Krishna consciousness in a non-threatening environment. Not just for the people non-threatening, but also for the devotees non-threatening. Because sometimes the devotees don't feel comfortable to just go out onto the streets and do the, like, ta-da, we're here, in your face type of approach. We'll come to that. We'll speak how to do that in a nice way also. So when I started out with Krishna consciousness was 1984, and I attended many youth and music festivals that the devotees were attending. And they just went and did bhajan and distributed prasadam. Loads of prasadam. They did a lot of halava, a lot of lassi, and vegetable rice. And people loved it. So I was a bhakta, a new guy, still went to school, but I learned the art of how to approach people and how to give them halava and lassi to the point where nobody could refuse me. You become irresistible. You know how to tackle everybody, just to make them take what you want them to take. Have you ever tried? You can learn how to do that. Like you can put the halavas in they have these little cupcakes, like these little paper things, you can put the halava in there, and then you just distribute those. Instead of giving like a big tray of 3, which sometimes is a little too much for people. I've seen yesterday. They feel a little overwhelmed. They're not into eating a full dessert or a full meal. So it's better to give them just maybe something slightly bigger. The scoop can be slightly bigger than the ones that we have now. Like those ice cream scoops, the regular ice cream scoop form, Just one of those in a little paper cup. That's usually what people can handle, what they can deal with. But the consistency was very good because it was not too wet. It was kind of dry, moist, So it looked nice. People liked it. One feedback though, it was too sweet. Many people told me it was too sweet. Now I know halava devotees like it sweet and buttery and all that. But when we're doing it for the people on the street, don't make the butter just run out and put in half sugar and half semolina, Try to keep it on the, depending on the local taste and the place you're going to. You know what I mean. So, the point was, you get to the point where nobody can refuse you. You can distribute invitation cards also in that way. To a point where you just, hey, this for you, hey, this for you, like that, where you just can give something to everybody. Then when you have a book table, people come and they they look, what is there? They come to check it out. So you just start talking to them. Hey, how are you doing? How is things? You having a good day today? Have you seen these before? Do you have any of these? Like that. And you start to ask questions. A question mark is like a hook. You can hook people by asking them questions. So they start to reply, and then you say something, and then they say something, and all of a sudden you have what's called a conversation. Because sometimes if you go out and you preach, and you just preach, and the people are just so happy that they can get away from you. And they'll even give you money so they can get away from you. But that's not what we call preaching, That's something else. I don't want to give it a bad name. And you can be quite successful in just being very forceful and forcing people to take whatever it is that you want them to take. But it will not turn too many people onto Krishna consciousness in a very short and quick way. They may keep the book, and maybe sometime later on they'll read it or somebody else will read it. If you want the quickest way for people to come here and to become devotees, then we should just be kind and considerate and very Krishna conscious. Now, of course, we know a doctor, when he administers the medicine, he is not sentimental. Oh, would you like to take a little medicine today? No, he administers the medicine. But the art is to keep a positive attitude and to keep smiling. One time in Mayapur, I was doing crowd control, and Hari Sori Prabhu observed me, and he came and told me that Prabhupada told him, when you do crowd control, you have to push. If you don't push, you don't get the job done, especially in India, because there's so many people and they don't listen and they don't want to follow. In fact, they want to do the opposite. So you have to push. But you have to always smile. Because when you smile, people they'll go along. They will do what you want them to do. But if you push and you don't smile, you're serious, then people will fight you. They will hate you like that. They will take you on. So preaching sometimes means you have to push a little bit, but you have to keep on smiling. You have to do it in a pleasant way. And then they will see, okay, this guy likes me and he actually wants to help me, but okay, I may not agree with him, but he's a nice fellow, so let me go along with it, like that. But if you're serious, you're stern, you're kind of, gotta do this now, take it, then people will resist, and they will resent us, which has created a lot of bad rep for our movement. And even devotees started to give up book distribution and preaching because they resented, they hated themselves for doing that. Because if you do something that you don't like doing, and you do it for long enough, you come to the point where you actually hate that activity. You may like Krishna consciousness, but you don't want to go out because you didn't like the way how it was done. So, we have to be careful. Then, so book tables, prasadam, sambhajan really is a crowd puller. It pulls the crowd. It just attracts people. They just can't help it because it's attractive. When you hear the holy name being chanted in a nice way with some instruments, and it's not like the stomping, kicking type of kirtan, that we may sometimes do in our temples because we're really into it. When we're out on the street, the kirtan, the bhajan, it should be mellow, melodious, so people can appreciate like that. So, and then just interact with the people and give them books. So to have this program on a regular basis is called the Sankirtana Festival. And it can be instituted in any temple, in any center that we have. Formerly, Sankirtan was the primary service that was there. That's why Prabhupada said, I want everybody to go join the Sankirtan party immediately. Everybody out on the street. But now we have so many other services and occupations, but we should still find a way how we can go out regularly, at least once a week, if not a few times a week, and have these little festivals. If I'd ask you, how many of you want to go out every day to distribute Prabhupada's books?
Want to or?
Want to, yes. How many can go out every day to distribute? Okay, that's pretty good. Huh? But everybody would like to do it once a week. And you know, the temples, the centers where they instituted this, book distribution has increased by 6 times, by 600%. So if you just start in your place to go out regularly, like once a week, everybody goes out for Harinam and have books and flyers and prashadam, you'll increase your preaching by 6 times. That's pretty good, you know, 600% increase. I think we can try this and do this at home.
But isn't that what we do? Isn't that what we do now also? Like
yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we do. It's not a new program, you know. Just confirming what you're already doing. And ABS, always better service. After every activity, like yesterday, there should be a debrief. Where people get together and they say, okay, what worked well, what didn't work so well, and what could be improved. And we just brainstorm ways how we can make it better. Like this little thing that I just said now about the halava, you know, because I gave out halava and I got a lot of feedback from the people. So we have to listen and observe and see what works and improve like that. I also feel that you should have more small books in English, because there's a lot of international people around. And the Gita was a little too much for many of them. But they like to just take something and give something and like that. So, when I have book table, I'm thinking of more variety than just one book. You know? Not that you just have one book and a whole table full of it, but you have a few different books like that. You don't have to bring out the whole shop, but just a little assortment of books, which is appreciative for the people. So, have the recap. Have little training seminars, little introductory talks before you go out and have the activity to get people on the same wavelength. Because sometimes it happens that we go out there and everybody's just doing their own little thing, but there's not so much group spirit, and people can feel it, you know, that everybody's doing their own thing. But to actually feel like we're a team here, and you rotate. Sometimes the people who are chanting, they go and distribute books, and those who distribute books sit down and chant. And those who preach go do the prasadam, and vice versa. So it's not just cutting potatoes 10 hours a day, you know. So you feel like there's variety, there's a different type of approach, and we can also work on ourselves. Then how to distribute books in a non-confrontational way, but do it straight out, just direct. Okay, so the first and foremost thing is that you are comfortable yourself, that you don't feel threatened by this whole idea of going out. I know devotees sometimes they're shy, they're timid, they're a little hesitant, they may not be so knowledgeable or not so conversant to deal with people. But if we know that this is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tradition, he took the kirtan and brought it to the streets. He just went out. And you know what? It was illegal. In his time, the Muslims were in charge. It was illegal. Now, of course, in some countries when it's illegal, people are more attracted to it, you know. They really like doing it because it's illegal. Maybe we should outlaw it, you know. And then it will make it easier for some to do Sankirtana. Just like here. You're completely legitimate. We're the good guys. So that may make it a little boring, you know. So maybe you have to go to China or to, you know, Uzbekistan or someplace. Then there would still be some challenge. But here we're totally legitimate. That's a scary thought, isn't it? Nobody's against us. People say, yeah, you're nice guys. Oh, you want some money here? Take some money. I like you. There's no resistance. Like that.
You're not allowed in Roskilde, we can go there.
You're not allowed in Roskilde.
No, we can go there.
You can go there. Don't do stupid things. You can get a permission in Roskilde to put up a book table, right?
They cancel it.
They cancel
They
it.
don't want us there because we are noisy.
We're noisy. Then you do it in a non-noisy way, you know. But books, they allow us to distribute books. Yeah, so do that, you know. We can We're not stereotyped. It's not that we can only work in one way. We can work in unlimited amounts of ways. But the strategy is in like a needle, out like a plow. But if you go in like a plow, you come out like a needle. Huh? And that's what happens often. So, first thing, be comfortable yourself. Means, be confident. No, this is our tradition. This is what we do. This is what it is. Just like the mother, when she feeds the kid, she's not hesitant. Oh, I'm not sure whether he's going to like this. No, this is what it is. This is what's on the menu. Okay, eat, kiddo. Boom, right? Not like, oh, what would you like to have today? Huh? Should I maybe cook something different for you? Or should I take you to the restaurant? No, this is what it is, kiddo. Eat. Okay, here. Boom. Why? Because she's confident. She's a mother. She knows what's best for the child. Now, of course, she smiles and she's considerate and she knows how to hold the spoon so the little fella doesn't choke on it, you know. You know, don't just pour the whole thing down his throat. Give him time to chew, give him time to swallow, give him time to breathe. But at the same time, this food is going to go down. So in the same way, when we go on preaching, we just take our books out and we know that these books are not coming home. Just like when Krishna and Arjuna. Can you hear me there in the kitchen? We're on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and Arjuna had doubts. Krishna told him, none of these men are going home today. Nobody goes home. Everybody's going to stay right here. So they're going to die. One way or the other. Now I want you to be the instrument. In the same way, Paramijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtana. This Sankirtana movement is already a success. There's no questions about that. The only question is, am I going to be a part of that success or not? Am I going to stand on the sidelines and criticize and find faults and say, what about the book editing? What about, there was not enough sugar in the halwa last Saturday. That's why I can't chant my rounds today, I feel there was emotional abuse by the cooks, There was not enough paneer in the sabji. I don't feel the love here. Well, why don't you go to Siberia? Why don't you go to Africa? Maybe you'll feel the love then, So, caring means sharing. To share Krishna consciousness means you actually care. Prabhupada cared. That's why he left Vrindavan. And he came to give us this greatest gift. So sometimes we need a little tough love. We need a little bit straight talk to wake us up from our conditioning. So, if you're comfortable in being in non-comfort zone, in being out there and present Krishna consciousness, people can sense it. Okay, this guy, he likes doing what he's doing. Okay, so I accept that. Because people like that. When they see somebody who likes, who's confident, who likes doing what they're doing, that increases your confidence. If you go to the dentist and the guy's like, well, I'm not sure, it's going to hurt, Should we really do this? Are you sure? I don't think this dentist will be very successful in running his shop, You have to be competent, confident, and you have to actually like what you're doing. Because otherwise it's just a pain to watch somebody who hates his job. Have you ever seen people who hated their job? You just don't want to be around them. Like you go to a store or to a restaurant or somewhere, and the guy actually hates his job. It makes you feel so bad. You just don't want to be around that person, right? And in the same way, if you have somebody who actually likes doing what he's doing, it's just so blissful. You want to go to his restaurant and eat even if you're not hungry, because you just want to see that person like that. So, you go up to people and you talk to them in a way that's not threatening to them. Not like, hey, you, come here, take this book. It'll make you happy. Just look at me. buy this book, I will become like you. Maybe I don't want that, you know. Maybe that's a scary thought. But if they see that you're actually happy, then they think, yeah, sure, I'd like to know why you're so happy. So let me find this out. Like that. So, to just say things that are true, that are pleasing, that are beneficial, non-offensive, not judgmental, and they're actually beneficial for the person. That's an art. That's Bhagavad Gita 17:15. That's our challenge, to do that in a way that people can relate to us, that they feel, yes. So just like you meet somebody on the street, and you can either walk up to them and say, do you believe in God? Or, are you going to church? Now in some countries this may work, like in West Africa. God is big. And you can just walk straight up to people on the street and ask them, you know, which church are you going to? And they will like it. But here, I don't think that's the approach that works the best, right? So, what do you do here in Denmark? You go up to people and you say, hi, how are you doing? Or it's going okay? Like that. Something non-threatening, like that. And then you ask them a question. Like, for instance, what questions do you ask people here?
Do you know how to read?
Yeah. You do that?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. And it makes them smile. Because they understand that it's not just a simple, stupid question, but it's a joke, you know? So I'm allowed to smile. And they like that. If you get them to smile twice, they will take your book. Just because you're nice, you know. Or you may say something like, are you from Copenhagen? Or where are you from? And
You look intelligent.
yeah, that's what I did in Africa. I just said, this book is for all the intelligent people. Because they're already there and they go, you know, and then you say, oh, it's for all the intelligent people. So they go, oh, okay, all right, okay. So, make a little compliment, not too thick, but, you know, just this is for all the hardworking people, this is for all the best dressed people, this is for all the nice people. Are you one of the nice people? And even when they say no, they will still smile. Because they got the joke, they caught it, you know? And then you carry on. Don't wait. Just carry on. And then you put the book in their hand. But the main thing is to break the ice. Initially there's some ice. What does ice mean? It means barrier. It means false ego. It means resistance. I don't trust you because I don't know you. Because you're different. You look different, you talk different, your stuff looks different. So I don't trust you. But when you get them to appreciate that you're an intelligent, funny, sensitive, considerate, caring person, then they feel like, hey, this is a nice person. I would like to spend a few moments with this person. There's some absolute no-nos, which you should absolutely not do. I'm sure you're well aware of them. We don't need to state the obvious. We've all experimented with those things. Like, for instance, what is a no-no? What shouldn't you do? Any suggestions? Things that absolutely don't work? You've tried them a million times, but they still don't work.
Think too much about the money.
Immediately think about the money. Yes.
You're concerned about that they have to give some a donation.
So immediately they can sense it. They can see the dollar signs in your eyes. And they're like, hey, I kind of know this look, you know? I've seen this look before. And they're like, they immediately stall, you know, like they put the brakes on. What else? You had your hand up there.
Well, for example, discussing with Christian fanatics.
Yes, discussing with Christian or Muslim or Hindu or atheist or scientist or any type of fanatics, any type of people who are very convinced of their ideology is not something what we do. When we see that somebody asks you the question, you know, do you believe in this or do you believe in that? There's one very simple answer. Hare Krishna, I wish you a wonderful day. Have a fantastic day. Thanks for your time, and you just move on to the next person. That's the best way of how to deal. Any other word besides that is usually a waste of time and energy. But there's ways how to turn those things around. What are other things that you absolutely should not do? You had a point?
Well, a friend of mine, he told me that he went up to people and he said, "You're gonna die. Take this book."
Was he successful with his approach?
He was threatened a few times by people who became very angry.
Yes, because that's just not what you do to people. That's just something obnoxious. It's just insensitive. Even if you state the obvious, it's obvious everybody's gonna die. But if you run up to the street, you run up to the little kid on the street and you go, "You're gonna die," we'll cry. It may just not be ready, may not be able, and an adult is not so much different. They may just not be willing to deal with that fact right now in life. So, other things are like you go up too close to people, you get into their face, it means like into their space, like this, and you start talking to them in a very, people just... In every culture, there is a certain proximity that people are comfortable with. So you have to know what is the private space of a person, and you respect that. And then they're comfortable talking to you. Because remember, if a person's not comfortable, they won't put down their guard, their defense. You will only talk to their false ego. You can't really reach the soul. Another thing is that we have to put down our own false ego. Our own guard, our own perception of who we are and how the world should function. We also take that down. Now how do we do that? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Intensive chanting and hearing the holy name. And not having any types of identification. Oh, I'm a this, I'm a that, and I have to achieve this or I have to achieve that. No. I'm just Krishna's servant. I'm out here happy to spread this message of peace and goodwill. So there's a million of things that we can say about what you shouldn't do, but what you should do is, there has to be some sense of bonding. You know what bonding means? To connect. You have to connect with people on some level. And also the book has to connect with the person. To make that bridge, to make that connection. Otherwise they're like, "Hey, I like you, but this book, where does the book fit in here? Okay, I like you, I'll even give you some money, but then why are you giving me this book, So you have to bring the book into the equation. The book is part of our interaction. I know it's easy, you're a welfare state and people are used to the idea that there's people begging and people needing money, so they'll give out money. Alright, okay. But if you want to preach and distribute books and actually have an impact, you have to introduce the book. What's the book about? What's the book? What's the benefit of the book? And how does it relate to you and to me and to our whole interaction here? So, that means we have to start talking about the book. I know it's a scary thought, but it's actually quite simple and easy. So I just tell people have three questions. Who are you? What's this book? And what's in it for me? You can work with the bottom line. Number three, what's in it for me? But I usually tell people, because it's kind of on their mind, okay, who's this guy? So I tell them who I am. I'm a monk, I'm traveling, and I'm teaching people how to be happy. Have you met some happy people today? Are you feeling happy? And they say, sometimes. I say, that's nice, that's great.
All the time. I'm always happy.
That's great, that's wonderful. So it's exactly what I'm trying to do, make people feel happy. So just say something people can relate to. Whatever it is that you are, just speak about that. People will accept